Today on Locked On White Sox, I'll be talking with my guy, Nick Murawski of the Good Guys Talk Back podcast. We'll be talking about a great event for you Southsiders, some trivia happening on March 10th, and we'll talk about the MLB Lockout and some Sox issues. And just, he's a great Sox fan. It's a great Sox conversation here on Locked On Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We're free and available on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find us there at Locked On Sox or by searching Locked On White Sox. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. I'm the host of Locked On Sox, and I am a content creator for the CHGO White Sox beat. We have been up and running for 3 podcasts now. It's been a great debut. Accordingly, we are the number one baseball podcast in America, but I don't know if I should be saying that in my other baseball podcast, but it is true. And I'm here talking to you 5 days a week about the White Sox. And somebody else who I've been able to talk to about the White Sox before, and somebody who I know bleeds black, which is unhealthy, is Nick Murawski of the Good Guys Talk Back podcast. Him and Pat Hester are your Sox fans to go to for an opinion. If you're looking away from some of the bigger companies, you're looking for true Sox fans, their opinions. Nick and Pat are your guys. Nick, I'm excited to have you co-hosting an episode here. How you been, man?
Sean, thank you so much. What a pleasure. I'm excited for this. I've been well, aside from the baseball news. I've been good. So this is going to be a real treat, I think.
Absolutely. Today is Wednesday, March 9th. And you mentioned this before we were talking, and I don't want to, cause any issues at my new workplace, but it was mustache debate. You, Vinny Duber, I see Vinny's all the time. It is glorious. But one thing I was taken aback when we talked in January was your mustache. It is clean. It's precise. I mean, I need tips. If you're going up against Vinny Duber, though, in a mustache, showdown here, who's winning? Are you taking the crown from Vinny?
I don't think I could take the crown yet from Vinny. I've been following and I've tried to get a little bit of some grooming tips, but I don't think he's willing to give those tips up. And I don't blame him. Yeah. You really have to be meticulous. It's kind of like a bonsai tree. You've got to be, you've got to be trimming and there's a lot of work that goes into it to get it to the shape you look for. So he's kind of like he's up there. He's also brought the mustache back. I feel like it was kind of gone for a while, and he's kind of brought it a little bit mainstream, at least through the White Sox Twitter world. So I love that he's kept it, and I just hope to be in the conversation. That's it.
You're definitely in the conversation. I mean, you're in the team picture. You're on the team next year, and absolutely. I mean, I think we just need the true aficionado. We need Eloy Jimenez out here. He's the guy that recognizes Vinny's mustache in the press room, in the press box, and we just need to introduce him to the other one. We will have Nick versus Vinny. It should be an exciting battle.
If that's the way I get to talk to Eloy Jimenez, that's fine by me. That works just fine with me.
Absolutely. We miss our big baby. MLB Lockout is still going on, and I do want to remind you before I already said it was March 9th. Nick, I have this long typical behavior to just completely not mention the date. So now I'm trying to overcompensate by telling you the day that's March 9th. But that's important because the Good Guys Talk Back is hosting an event out in good old Blue Island. Why don't you tell us about it? March 10th and March 24th. March 10th, obviously, coming up on Thursday. But the Good Guys Talk Back podcast are taking it out on the road, huh?
Yeah, we kind of set goals for ourselves every year. This is our 4th year doing the podcast, 4th season. And, this year, Pat and I were talking around the holidays, and we said, we'd really like to get out in person and host some events, whether they are, pregame, parties when the Sox are on the road, come out and we'll record an episode, then stick around and watch the game with us. And I love trivia. I used to participate in bar trivia pretty regularly years ago. And during, the beginnings of COVID, I hosted and did some just mini little White Sox trivia with some family and friends, and we were connecting through Zoom, and nobody was able to go anywhere. And I love it. I handcrafted the questions. There are 4 rounds. It is going to be at Rock Island Public House, which is a great Southside bar in Blue Island. Pat and I are going to be there. We got a lot of giveaways, and, I've been able to connect, and Pat and I, through Good Guys Talk Back, we've connected with so many folks, just, in Twitter world and social media world. And, I'd like to meet some folks, I'd like to meet some listeners, some other Sox fans. And, we were hoping this was going to lead up to opening day, with it being on the 31st, which we know is not going to happen anymore. But right now, I hope these events, and there might be more of them, throughout the year. I hope these events are just a way for almost therapeutic for Sox fans to come out, talk Sox baseball, test their knowledge, and just kind of take a mental break a little bit from kind of the darkness that's fallen upon a sport that we absolutely love.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going right to the right place, my friend, to the south side, the heart of the south side, 13328 Old Western Avenue, out on Blue Island at the Rock Island Public House. So that should be fun. I'm going to try to make it out on the 10th, and if not, I'll be there on the 24th. I got to support my guys. And let's talk about the Good Guys Talk Back podcast, kind of give people an idea, because, you guys had me on January. It was a blast to talk to you. We were talking about the lockout then. We're talking about the lockout still. You always open up your podcast talking about how it's a fan-centric podcast. How is this affecting the fans? How is it affecting season ticket holders? I mean, what's the big impact of this lockout and those 2 series being canceled? Rob Manfred canceled.
Well, Good Guys Talk Back is it's a passion project. I started it. I started it during the winter meetings when the Sox were hopefully going to land Machado or Harper or both. And do
they have both, Nick? Can you?
No. We got Yonder Alonso and John Jay, and those didn't last long. So it was born in anger. It was almost born out of a need to just, get some things off my chest as a lifelong, diehard, multi-generational Sox fan. So, fast forward, through the seasons, and Pat and I have really, Pat and I have known each other for 20 years, and everybody has those friends or those family members that you can just instantly connect with, and you might not see each other for a while, and then you get together and it's just, you're not even missing a beat. And you might have those subject matters or those things that just, you can always get right back in. And the White Sox for Pat and I have been that thing. And, years ago in college, we would go to out, to a bar, to a restaurant, wherever, or just watch the game, in a dorm room or an apartment. And we would pick apart the game, and, we would, analyze and question and vent and get angry, and, losses would sit with us. And having this ability, to create a podcast when this started really popping years ago, I said to Pat, like, we've got a little bit of background in doing some broadcasting work in college, and we've got the passion. I think there's a market for this, for 2 folks that just want to talk like fans, hopefully to other fans. And we don't get too much into the metrics and to the numbers. And, I know there's a place for it, and we've embraced it. And when there's an opportunity to bring it into the conversation, obviously we do. But it's more about just, I almost I call it like tavern talk, like 2 guys just sitting at stools at the bar, watching the game. Did you see this? How did that make you feel? Like, what's going on with the way La Russa handled that? Or, what do you think the Sox need to do against this team? It's really breaking down games in a way that is very, very fan centric.
Yeah, and that's exciting to listen to, and I wish you guys had games to talk about.
Yeah.
That'd be great right now. Especially spring training. I miss baseball, and how is that affecting you as a fan, as a season ticket holder? You're not able to be at that ballpark. You're not able to be watching spring training games. You tell me you live and die with every single pitch. There's no pitching happening. There's no pitch count. Nick, what's happening to you?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I live in Bridgeport, and I am 2 blocks west of the ballpark. So just about every day, I either walk past the ballpark on my way to the train, or I drive past it, to hook up with a highway to get to work. And it hurts. It's painful. I've often thought, well, maybe I should just take a roundabout way because I can't drive past it. And folks, and it sounds funny, and it sounds like, wow, this guy really needs to get a hobby or something. But it is just when you're born with it, like my parents, diehard Sox fans, their parents, diehard Sox fans. And I know folks that are listening to this, they can relate to it. They're like, I get it. It just, you can't shake it. And from a diehard long time forever Sox fan, it really hurts. I mean, it's almost personal. And I'm slowly, and I didn't think I was going to get to this point, but I'm starting to become a little apathetic, even though with all of the news that constantly is flying through social media of like, well, this is where MLB is at. This is where the players union is at. And you don't know who to believe right now. And your hopes are up, and then they're crashed. And then there's a hard deadline here. We're going to start canceling games. Well, we're actually going to push the deadline a little bit more. And now if we can get a deal, it's for me, of course I listen to that and I read it and I watch it because I'm so damn hopeful, but, it takes minutes, hours, days off of your life following this. It's crushing. And I think, the question Pat and I posed to each other recently is, well, are you going to come back to the game? How quickly will you start buying tickets again when this is over, or buying merchandise? And, there's a part of me that wants to like hold the game hostage and say, you lost me for X amount of games, or, you know what, you're not getting my money this month, or I'll wait till the summer. But I love the game. The game's bigger than all of this. The White Sox are bigger than all of this. I mean, that is my connection, my thread through my past, present, and hopefully my future. So how can I just abandon that? It's kind of a sickness. So
I don't think you can. You have 8 White Sox things either in this frame right now. You have a flag, you have 4 pictures, you have a hat up there, you have a hat on, a jacket on. It's your hobby. They're going after your hobby, Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to have you over to the basement one of these days, Sean. We'll fire the grill up, and it's kind of a mini shrine. It's the thing that, I can call my father and just talk to him during baseball season. And we might not say much about what's going on in each other's lives. But, we can connect through the White Sox, with my brothers, with my mom, with obviously friends, even coworkers. And with the world starting to change, and everybody kind of getting back to a sense of normalcy, right? It's been a couple of years. You want the things that you, I guess, latched onto and provided comfort for you to be there. And when baseball is not there, for me, the thing that I can always kind of reset at, it's off-putting. It's troublesome.
And I don't mean to be rude here, but we just got to sneak it in. Do you know who else you could talk to baseball about? You could talk baseball with this person. Do you know who I'm thinking of?
James Earl Jones.
Close. Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow's new book, Mission Possible, is out. Are you ready to discover your purpose and leave an impact wherever you go? Mission Possible, written and read by New York Times best-selling author and athlete Tim Tebow, encourage you to find your inspiration, pursue your purpose, and create a life for yourself that counts. Ignite a spark in your life through this new inspirational listen. Mission Possible by Tim Tebow is available everywhere your audiobooks are sold. I want to go back to your basement though, because you mentioned it's a shrine. What's the favorite piece down there? Well, if I'm going down there, what's the first thing you're showing me?
Well, you'll see the Konerko autographed jersey. I mean, he's my guy. I grew up with favorites like, of course, Frank Thomas and Blackjack and Robin Ventura and Fisk and Guillen. But Konerko, when he came along, he became my all-time favorite. So I've got a bunch of Konerko memorabilia. I've got a old Comiskey Park brick, that they were selling at some of those Chicago White Sox charity garage sales. Mm-hmm. I've got, I don't have as many bobbleheads as my Sox summer, that's for sure, but I'm pretty close. Pretty close. Ticket stubs. I've gone to see the Sox in 16 different stadiums.
What's
a little true. Well, we're hoping it would be San Diego, which would be the end. Yeah, that's a stadium I've not been to, but who knows what's going to happen. Last year was Pittsburgh, which was a wonderful. I ended up running into Herb there in Pittsburgh. Great stadium. It just a lot of this stuff encompasses just way back the 60s, 70s, 80s. From pennants to I've got just about every media guide since I've been born, the yearbooks, I've got some Giolito and Rodon stuff. I was at Rodon's no-hitter game, so I've got some of his kind of memorabilia from that night. Everything and anything. Nothing's off limits. I got a couple of the new Comiskey Park, the blue seats, when they ripped out like the top 10 rows to make it a little less scary climbing up there. They were selling some of those. I've got a few of those in the basement. So I would love my dream get would be a couple of those wooden green old Comiskey Park seats.
Oh,
those would be, they're around and, they go for some crazy money. But to get a couple of those in the basement, that would be a nice bit of a capstone.
That's some Apple TV MLB money. That's the type of money you need to get the green chair. You mentioned though a couple people, and I want to move this transition. We have you on to talk about the Good Guy Talks Backs trivia event that's happening on March 10th and March 24th at the Blue Island Public House or Rock Island Public House in Blue Island, 13328 Old Western Avenue out in Blue Island, the Rock Island Public House. What time is that again, Nick?
7 p.m. It should go till about 9, but there are 4 rounds and then there'll be a final question. So both nights, 7 p.m.
Look at that. I have now for you. We do trivia on Fridays. I'm moving it to Wednesday for a guest. I have 4 rounds of trivia for you and a final question. Look at that.
Oh boy.
We
wow.
Talk about this.
Okay. Yeah. No, we did not.
Do you want to pick your topic? I got 4 topics for you, or you can just go in the order I have.
I'm just going to go in the order. That's how confident I am, Sean.
Let's do it. Well, you mentioned your guy, Paul Konerko.
Yeah.
And the first topic is 2005 White Sox because, of course, before the 2018 World Series, Game 3 of the 2005 World Series was the longest in World Series history. The famous moment was in the 14th inning when Jeff Blum homered off of this Astro.
Oh, my goodness.
The only reason I'm torturing you with this is because I found this out recently, and it's in my head.
Oh, boy. It wasn't a position player. Who did they throw in? Did they bring back? Did Roy Oswalt pitch?
He started that game.
Okay.
He started that game for the good old Astros. That was the pitcher that AJ hit the double off of. The base.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the Astros pitcher.
Yeah, I think I started you off too hard with Ezekiel Estacio.
Woo, there you go.
My bad. Were you getting any Ezekiel Estacio mentions on us?
Oh man, I was actually with Pat that night. We were watching the game at Bar Louie near UIC campus on Halstead, and we're like, you know what? Let's just start heading home. We were in the Southwest Burbs at the time, and we're on 55 and hearing that home run and Pat's laying on the horn, and we are just shouting out the windows. Gosh, what a night.
Oh, that's got to be memorable. And knowing Pat, that guy's probably going absolutely nuts. All right, next up, Southside Hitman is the topic. On July 31st, 1977, after walking Kansas City Royal Joe Lahoud, this pitcher was removed after throwing 9 2/3 innings in the first half of a doubleheader versus the Royals in a 5-4 win, capped off by a Ralph Garr walk-off single. Which pitcher pitched those 9 2/3 innings for the Southside Hitmen?
Oh, 1977. Gosh, man, you are going down some rabbit holes, Sean. I got to give you credit for crafting these questions, man.
It shouldn't be too hard. I didn't try to make this one too difficult. If you're watching White Sox baseball, you'll probably hear his name. You will hear his name.
If you're watching White Sox baseball, you're, okay. Well, Steve Stone.
All right, I made that too easy. Steve Stone is the answer.
9 2/3. Oh,
9
man.
2/3. And the only reason they pulled him was because they walked him. I mean, he would have easily been able to finish out the top of the 10th.
Hearing some of those numbers of the innings that some of these guys pitched, when I was going through some of the, media guides and Baseball Reference, and you'd see some of these numbers that these guys would put together in the 50s and 60s and 70s. It was just unheard of. Like, there was no bullpen. There were like 3 guys that, maybe we'll get some time. I don't know. But those guys went full games consistently.
I mean, saves weren't developed until like 1979. I'm pretty sure Tony La Russa developed them when he was in the minor leagues. Like,
sure.
I mean, I was going back through all the data and stuff, and it's like, they really didn't start using them until like the 90s. Like true, the closer, and that's why you see Willie Hernandez win the Cy Young in '84, but then like Eck come along.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
The birth of the reliever has been crazy to see in baseball. Let's remember some guys. This guy isn't a reliever, but after playing this player for 5 years in the AL Central, the Sox traded for him in 2009, and he ended up playing 128 games with the White Sox. Who is he?
Okay, so he was in the AL Central, and we ended up trading for him and bringing him over in 2009, you're saying?
Yes, and then he stayed for 2010.
Stayed for 2010. Gosh. So 2008, our blackout year. Trying to think. Boy, Sean, I'm going through the teams right now. You got to give me a hint on this.
I'll give you. Do you want number or do you want position? Because I didn't mean to make these too hard, so I don't want to.
You know what? I don't even know if I should be hosting this trivia night anymore, Sean. I think you are
a great public speaker. You're a great public speaker. I wasn't trying to make these difficult. Oh man.
Give me position.
Third base, first base.
Third base, first base. Man, why am I drawing a blank?
It'd be way too hard of a guess, or way too hard of a question.
Oh man, and I bet you I'm going to be kicking myself as soon as I hear it.
He also played right field, if that helps.
Third base, first base, right field. Tell me, and I'm going to just
Tian.
Oh, of course, the Royals.
In your
gosh,
number 1 in your heart.
I might have, the number might have. Some of those years you just forget about because you're like, boy, I wanted to. And that 2009 team, that was, there were some rough ones, and that was a rough one.
Yeah, that and 2014 are
yes,
tougher years. We don't like to talk about on the White Sox podcast.
Sure.
This one's going to be about a player you should know. This is the retired numbers category. This player had his number retired by the Sox in 1997 after 13 years of service on the South Side and 24 years in the majors. Who am I?
Well, 1997 was Fisk.
Yes,
yeah.
Ding ding.
Yeah. I love the retired numbers. I know a lot of people don't get too excited about retired numbers, but I find it to be such a wonderful honor to a player that did so much for an organization and even community that you might not go on to the Hall of Fame perhaps or be known nationally, but here in this town, here in this fan base, you are held to such a high regard. So go ahead.
The same way, I have a question for you, but we got to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And I got to mention my friends at Built Bars. Have you tried the puffs from Built Bars yet, Nick?
I haven't.
Well,
Tell
if
me
you
about
haven't,
this.
You're missing out on one of the best Built bars, one of their best tasting bars Built Bar has to offer. The Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, Nick. They're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. They have incredible flavors like yummy, cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. All of them are so good, Nick. And these are going to be your new favorite if you give them a try because, again, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. They are low in calorie and high in protein. And the best part, too, is the taste. Not only are they healthy, but at Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. And, Nick, if you're looking to be a do-it-yourselfer with your car, go check out our friends at Rock Auto. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more at some of these chain stores? Did you know I paid $30 for a windshield wiper pump, and it was only $11 at Rock Auto? I mean, you could save 92% on just windshield wiper pumps alone. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer, and they will have everything that you need, whether it's brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. So go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. They have an amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Now, thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. Locked On MLB Prospects, we don't know much about those, Nick. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now, after we took that little break there, I have a question for you. We talked about this today on the CHGO White Sox podcast, and Herb Lawrence said that it's a disgrace that 13 isn't retired. And you talk about doing so much for a franchise, so much for a city. Ozzie, not only as a player, but as a manager too, bringing the 2005 World Series. You're a fan. I mean, season ticket holder. What would it mean if Ozzie's number was retired? And does it mean something that it's not retired right now?
It definitely means something that it's not retired. The fact that it has not been issued to a player since he left for Miami means something. And
the last player to wear the number? I found this.
I want to say Willie Harris.
Correct. 2003.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to get back here and save face after those earlier questions you threw my way.
I did you dirty with those questions. I forgot about the questions too. We still got one more.
Sean, Pat and I talked with Ozzie Guillen Jr. on the Good Guys Talk Back podcast over the summer. And we posed the question to him, and he made it sound like there had been some conversations, almost like in a joking kind of way with Jerry, like, when's that going to happen? Come on now. And Junior, gave me the impression that it would mean obviously the world to Ozzie. Huge. And put a statue out there to wear the uniform for as long as he did. And then to come back and manage, almost being told like you're going to fail. This isn't going to work out for you. You've got some third base coach experience, namely with the Marlins. It would almost seem like, okay, we went from Jerry Manuel. Let's bring in Ozzie. He's passionate. The fans are going to love him. We don't know exactly what we're doing with maybe our manager right now, but we'll bring in Ozzie as a placeholder. And he just lit a fire with the fan base and the organization. And, I think that it's got to happen, and it should happen sooner rather than later. So I know he's a grandfather, Ozzie Guillen, and it just, I think it would mean so much to his family, to the legacy, to the Guillen legacy. So again, I know a lot of people don't really get into retired numbers, but to have an Ozzie Guillen Day, to retire that number, you want to talk about how are we going to get fans back to baseball? And that's a big question. That's one good way, is start bringing back some fan favorites and honoring them in an appropriate way. And retiring Guillen's number is one of those ways.
Well, and the thing too, like, not only did he do it on the field, Rookie of the Year, not only did he do it in the manager position, World Series in 2005, but I mean, he's still an ambassador. I mean, he's probably the most known White Sox personality, TV personality, media personality that they have. I mean, Ozzie is such a lightning bolt on TV, so it's like, he's continuing his White Sox legend, even in the booth too. So it's definitely something that I think needs to happen. Let's get back to my way too hard trivia questions. The final one. This is the final boss, which you might get easily. The American League Cy Young has been around since 1956. Can you name the 3 White Sox players who have won the award? You don't have to give me the names.
I can. Jack McDowell, Lamar Hoyt.
Ding.
And this one, I believe it was Billy Pierce.
No, not. 3 years or 4 years, 4 seasons probably after the award was established. 1959 early win. Early win.
There you go. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Effort though. I mean, I'll give it to you. Honestly.
But let's look at the.
You got it. Congrats,
Sean. Let's look at the bigger picture in that. There have only been 3 White Sox pitchers that have won the Cy Young Award.
Right.
I mean,
only 3 MVPs, right? Abreu, Thomas, and
Dick Allen.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's I mean, you have a couple Rookie of the Years, but like, there's not. I mean, baseball isn't littered with great White Sox. Like there's a couple. There's about 11. They're all retired, jersey-wise.
And that's why we celebrate those guys so much, because we just don't have. This isn't the Yankees, or some of the teams that the Oakland A's had or the Cincinnati Reds had years ago. We don't have a ton of stars that have gotten national recognition and, been on the cover of Sports Illustrated, have been at all-star games, have won MVPs. But the ones that we do have, we get really passionate about them.
Yeah, and maybe, I thought about this too. Like I was thinking of bigger names. Tomey's number, I don't know if they'll retire 25. Maybe they retire 25. He's the 12th one, and then they retire the 13th number. And Ozzie's at the same time. Like maybe they're doing something special like that because they are at 11 retired numbers. I thought about that.
Yeah, I think Jose Abreu is going to be retired, and they're going to give him the Paulie treatment. I think where they unveil a statue out in the concourse like while he's still playing. I think that's what that's what happened with Paulie. They retired his number in the statue, and he still had a game left. It's like, talk about pressure there. I've got a statue out in the concourse, and I still have got to get to bat 4 times. Yeah. I think they'll do that for Abreu. That'll be the 12th if they don't do Guillen sooner, and then maybe Guillen follows up in number 13.
Man, I got a ton of things I could still talk to you about. Jose Abreu, is he going to be a Sox for life? What's his career? I think we just need to talk again.
Yes, let's do that
for later. Maybe we should talk on March 10th. Why don't you plug again what you got going on March 10th? The Good Guys Talk Back. The Good Guys Talk Back podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're hosting White Sox trivia at Rock Island Public House in Blue Island, 7 p.m. It's free to play. There's no RSVP. If you're thinking about bringing 6 people, maybe split that team up into 2 groups of 3. We're going to have giveaways. There'll be prizes, and we're going to run it back then on March 24th. It's just a great opportunity. Test your knowledge and, meet some other Sox fans.
And go meet the mustache. Rock Island Public House, 13328 Old Western Avenue in Blue Island at 60406. Nicky, thank you so much for your time, man. I got one final question for you.
Yep.
We talked about this on the podcast, your podcast. The White Sox need to spend. They're going to have about 3 weeks when the lockout ends. Do you have a name? If there's one guy that you can sign, Andre Dawson style, blank check, here you go, you're a White Sox, who you signing?
It's got to be right field in my mind, because that has been a black hole for such a long time. And I want them to pick a direction, pick a guy. And this is the guy that we're going to have during this, championship window. And I've been back and forth on, Conforto, Castellanos, and I've been, convinced, but the more I've read and the more I've thought about it, it's Conforto. Go write a check. This is what we're doing. We're not playing any games. There's no games. We want you. We're bringing you, and it's going to happen fast because I know there's other holes that they need to fill, namely pitching. But Conforto's the guy, and then we'll figure out second base hopefully as well.
Yeah, got to figure out second base, backup catcher probably. We're going to see the Zach Collins and Zebby Zavala squad. Do you want a relief pitcher or starting pitcher?
I need a starting pitcher because I really, I don't think they're bringing Carlos Rodon back, and they're going to incorporate Kopech. He pitched 69 innings last year, and that was obviously out of relief, maybe a couple spot starts when they needed somebody to go a few because of a doubleheader or what have you. You do not want to burn that guy out if you want him, to go into September and beyond, which this team is built for the postseason in 2022. I don't know if you're going to really want to go with Lopez, but there might be there might have to be a hybrid, 6-man rotation at some point just to keep everybody rested. And I'm not saying you have to go break the bank, which they won't. The Sox organization won't with pitching, but get somebody reliable that we could throw in that starting rotation. Just to kind of take the pressure off of some of these guys. Keuchel threw 162 last year. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. Lynn, had a little bit of back issue. Is he going to be able to carry the load? You're looking at a big year for Cease, of course. Gio, 178, exactly. And so I would like them to just grab a name, and that could be through trade, which everybody's talking. The Oakland A's are ready to, deal perhaps, but get another arm for sure.
That's the voice of Nick Murawski. He is the host of the Good Guys Talk Back podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, you just got over 1,500 followers on Twitter. Congratulations, my man. You can follow the podcast at Good Guys TB. You could also follow his co-host, Pat Hester, at Pat Hester21. And the big thing, not tomorrow. Well, it will be tomorrow because it's going to post on March 9th. Tomorrow, March 10th. 7 p.m., the Rock Island Public House, 13328 Old Western Avenue out in Blue Island. Go see Nick's lovely mustache. Go meet Pat. Go shake these guys' hands. Go have a beer with them and talk Sox. It's what you need. You're listening to a Sox podcast that's like 40 minutes long. You obviously need some type of relief. Thank you, Nick, so much for your time, man. It was great to talk to you. We got to do this again.
Such a blast, Sean. A real pleasure. Absolutely. Let's do it again. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you again. Go follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. Our next episode, we're going to have another guest, another Twitter legend of the White Sox community, Mr. Delicious 13. We got Beef Loaf coming on to talk about the 108 tourney. Hopefully Nick is on there because we can do some fun things if you and I are going up against each other. But we're going to have Beef Loaf on to talk about the 108 tourney. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Sean Anderson. Thanks, Nick Murawski, for joining me as my guest, and I will talk to you on Friday here on Locked On Sox.